Imagine it's a regular Tuesday night. You're not racing, you're not swerving. You've got your seatbelt on, both hands on the wheel, and the only thing on your mind is getting home and taking your shoes off. Nothing in that car is illegal, not even an expired air freshener. Then you see it, blue and red, flashing in your mirror, your stomach drops. But you tell yourself it's fine. Maybe a busted tail light, maybe a rolling stop you didn't notice. The officer walks up, takes your license, disappears back into the cruiser. You breathe, you wait. You think this is almost over. Then he comes back to your window, and instead of handing you a ticket and sending you home, he looks at you and says 6 words you were never prepared for. We're going to call a K-9 unit. Your throat closes, your palms go slick on the wheel. And your brain, the one that was perfectly fine 2 minutes ago, goes completely dangerously blank. Because here's what nobody tells you. What comes out of your mouth in the next 90 seconds will either build a legal wall around you or hand law enforcement everything they need to search every inch of your vehicle and potentially walk you out of that car in handcuffs. And before you think a trained police dog is a sure thing, stop. A landmark study found that drug detection dogs give false alerts more than half the time, more than 50%. And yet, the moment that animal sits down next to your bumper, officers can legally treat it as probable cause to tear your car apart, seat by seat, compartment by compartment. So the question isn't whether the dog is right. The question is, do you know what to say before it even gets there? And because there are specific words, precise, legally backed phrases that can stop this encounter cold and protect your Fourth Amendment rights before a single paw hits the pavement. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to walk you through could be the difference between driving home tonight and not. Subscribe to see how this unfolds. Let's start with the dog. You've probably assumed, most people do, that a police K-9 is basically a 4-legged lie detector, infallible, scientific, court-approved. But the data tells a completely different story. Studies show these animals give false alerts more than half the time. That means the thing that can legally authorize officers to dismantle your vehicle, rifle through your personal belongings, and place you under arrest is wrong more often than a coin flip. That's not a minor flaw in the system. That's the system working exactly as it was designed, and most drivers have no idea, which is exactly why I decided to start talking. I'm Harry Stephen, a criminal defense attorney. I have watched people lose everything simply because they didn't know what to say during a routine stop. Thus, your lack of knowledge is your biggest vulnerability. To protect yourself, you need to understand a concept I call the legal finish line. Every single traffic stop has one. Once an officer has what they need to write your ticket, your license is checked, the violation is confirmed, that stop is legally finished. Not winding down, finished. Your time is not theirs to keep. The Supreme Court made this explicit. In Rodriguez versus United States, the court ruled that officers cannot extend a traffic stop, even by a single minute, just to wait for a K-9, unless they have independent reasonable suspicion of a separate crime. Not a gut feeling, not a hunch, not because you seem nervous, actual articulable suspicion. That ruling exists. It is settled law. And the overwhelming majority of drivers pulled over every single day have never heard of it. So, how do officers work around it? Simple. They don't rush. They slow everything down. They take an extra pass at the registration. They ask you about your evening. They lean on the window and make small talk. And then, almost casually, they say it. Just sit tight for me, okay? That phrase is not courtesy. It is a trap. Because the moment you say sure and settle back into your seat, you have just voluntarily extended that stop yourself. You've taken the legal pressure off the officer and placed it squarely on your own shoulders. It feels polite. It feels normal. It is neither. The counter to it is 4 words. Not aggressive, not confrontational, just calm, clear, and legally precise. Officer, am I free to leave? That question forces a decision. Either the officer has grounds to detain you, in which case they must say so, or the stop is over and you are entitled to go. There is no third option. There is no just a few more minutes. The law does not allow for a middle ground, and that question makes sure both of you know it. Then the second cruiser pulls up. You watch in your side mirror as the handler steps out, and the dog drops to the pavement. It circles the vehicle once, twice, And then the handler's voice cuts through the night air. He's got something. Just like that. 3 words, and suddenly the entire weight of the legal system is pointed directly at you and everything inside that car. But here's what that handler isn't telling you. A study out of UC Davis put police dogs and their handlers through a controlled test. A room with no drugs, no contraband, nothing. The dogs still alerted, repeatedly. Not because they smelled something, but because their handlers expected them to. The dogs weren't detecting a scent. They were reading a human, a subtle lean forward, a tightened grip on the leash, an unconscious signal from a handler who already believed something was there. These animals are loyal, intelligent, and deeply eager to please, which makes them extraordinarily easy to influence without anyone in that parking lot even realizing it's happening. So, when that alert comes, it is not the end of the road. It is the moment your preparation either pays off or falls apart. This is where you say it, calmly, clearly, without hesitation. Mike, I do not consent to any searches of my vehicle. Not, I'd rather you didn't. Not, is that really necessary? Those phrases leave room for negotiation, and negotiation is not what this moment calls for. That specific sentence, spoken clearly and on the record, is what a defense attorney can later use to file a motion to suppress. It is the legal wall between you and everything that comes next. Say it once. Mean it completely. Do not walk it back, and then stop talking. Not mostly stop. Not stop unless he asks you something reasonable. Stop. Because the most dangerous part of a traffic stop isn't the dog, and it isn't the officer with the flashlight. It's the moment after you've protected yourself, when the officer leans back in, drops his shoulders, and says something like, "Look, I'm not trying to make this a big deal. Guys, you got family at home?" And you answer. Just a sentence. Just being human, just being polite. That sentence just unraveled everything. Consistency is the only thing that holds your defense together. One answer, one casual exchange, one moment of trying to seem cooperative. And the wall you built comes down. Know your finish line, invoke it calmly, and go silent. Those are not 3 suggestions. They are the entire script. And if you ever find yourself past the point where words are enough, get a defense attorney on the phone before you say another word to anyone. You have rights, but rights only protect you when you actually use them. Hit subscribe so you never walk into a traffic stop blind again. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had an officer try to keep you waiting at a stop? Drop your story below. I read every single one.